What's the dirtiest place on the human body? Hands or feet? Neither, really. Today, we'll take a look at the 6 dirtiest parts of everyone's body, especially the last place. You will never guess. Number 6, the belly button. Belly button is like a vacuum cleaner that specializes in eating bacteria. Because of its unique structure, it's also the easiest place to hide dirt. An American scientist has discovered there are 2,368 different types of bacteria in the human belly button. But here we still have to remind everyone, don't pick at the black, old dirt inside. Number 5, armpits. You can't even imagine how dirty your armpits are, due to the characteristics of the armpit area with many folds. Plus, the sweat glands secrete the most moisture and oil. The armpits can harbor tens of billions of bacteria in this warm, humid, dark, and airtight environment. A lot of bacteria eat, drink, and shit here. Their feces will produce a special sour odor. It's especially strong in the summer. But don't mess with the armpits, a delicate part of the body. Number 4, the mouth. Do you know how many bacteria live in your mouth every day? More than 200 billion. Even if you brush your teeth, there are at least 50 billion left. And when the bacteria break down the food waste, they also produce a lot of sulfur compounds and rancid breath. That's what we call bad breath. And that's just the least of the damage. If you don't watch what you eat and don't clean your mouth. Bacteria can also metabolize acids and slowly erode your white teeth into big holes until all your teeth are rotten. Number 3, eyelashes. As the protective barrier of your eyes, eyelashes can easily trap bacteria and other nasty things, and they produce more oil than any other part of the body. Number 2, the intestines. In the eyes of tiny bacteria, the human body is like a planet. Different parts of the body are home to different bacteria, and the most prosperous metropolis of the human planet is undoubtedly the intestines. It's home to more than 90% of the body's bacteria. The number of bacteria exceeds 100 trillion, weighing 1.5 kilograms. Humans have been able to analyze more than 4,600 species of intestinal bacteria alone. But if that's why you think it's dirty, it's a big mistake, because these intestinal flora have a key impact on human digestion, metabolism, immunity, mood, and so on. Functions even equivalent to a human organ. Number 1, nostrils. The human nose needs to filter more than 15,000 liters of air every day. Rhythmic cilia in the nose block aerosols, dust, bacteria, etc. in the air, and secrete mucus that coagulates the dirt into clumps, and when it dries, it forms dark-colored solid waste. That's boogers. But when the air around you is bad and you breathe in too many pollutants, the cilia can't move properly. The nasal passages will also deposit a lot of dirt and bacteria, becoming a small garbage dump. This garbage dump harbors more than 10,000 types of bacteria, more than 400 times more than the bacteria on a toilet. It's the dirtiest organ in the human body. I don't know if you ate boogers when you were a kid. Have you ever felt regret at this moment? A 25 square meter prison cell houses a total of 69 inmates. Each bunk has 4 layers, with 3 inmates lying on each layer. This makes the minimum temperature in the cell reach 35 degrees. From now on, Dumaguay won't be able to leave the cell on his own for half a month, to go outside or eat. Everything has to be arranged by the cell leader, and he has to be accompanied by the cell leader when he goes out. This means that new inmates can only stay in their beds. In the cell, Dumaguay's bunk is in the top corner of the cell, which is the hottest and smelliest place in the entire prison. The only thing that can make people happy is there is a mosaic television and a hot air fan in the cell during detention. Besides sleeping and eating, there is a roll call every morning and evening to ensure that no inmates escape. But the prison guards don't have to do this counting activity. They only need to be responsible for counting and tallying the number of inmates. After that, the prisoners will be taken back to their cells by the cell leader. And then the prison doors will be locked one by the guards in the next 12 hours. Prisoners have neither food nor water, let alone sleep. Even breathing becomes a problem. Dumaguete even stayed awake all night because of the heat. South Cotabato Jail, Philippines, has a square layout overall. 2 largest cells house about 1,500 inmates. Some punished inmates are locked in isolation cells. In addition, elderly and female inmates are also kept separately. The rest consists of the kitchen, prayer room, and visitor area, and the entire prison is monitored by armed guards in 5 towers, but this level of force can't control the situation at all. It relies on a prisoner named Germs de Pedro. He is the leader of the entire prison and sets the rules, and he calls himself the president in prison before he was imprisoned. He was a businessman, but due to a property dispute, he killed his nephew in anger, so he was sent to this prison. However, with his supernatural powers, he has recruited a large number of inmates as his henchmen. Anyone who doesn't follow the rules will be brutally beaten, and after being injured, they don't receive any medical treatment, and they will die soon, wanting to drink clean water or breathe fresh air. All of this needs to be obtained with money, and the prison guards don't bother to intervene in these actions. Over time, Germs de Pedro became the de facto ruler of the prison. He not only lives in a luxurious cell by himself, but also keeps pets in his room. As for daily necessities, mobile phones and televisions are all readily available. Even someone like him has been waiting here for 13 years. Other inmates who want to be convicted might have to wait until their next life, mainly because since the Philippines launched a comprehensive anti-drug campaign, a large number of drug traffickers have been imprisoned, leading to a backlog of cases in the judicial system. Cases simply can't be processed in time, which has led to the situation where judgments are constantly delayed, but for Germs de Pedro, who enjoys privileges, it doesn't matter anymore. Even his assistants below him are allowed to use knives to cook, and they can play basketball when they're bored or play chess.
The weapon in front of us is the atomic bomb called Little Boy, which, on August 6, 1945, became a nightmare for the Japanese. Little Boy was the first atomic bomb to be used in combat, taking 4 years and costing about $2 billion. It was 3 meters long, 0.71 meters in diameter, and weighed 4.4 tons. Inside Little Boy, a gun-type structure was used, similar to a gun firing bullets. The uranium-235 is used to divide it into 2 modules, the projectile and the target, where the left side of the projectile consists of 9 uranium rings in a hollow cylinder, while the right side of the target part consists of 6 uranium rings. The element uranium can be found everywhere, in the Earth's crust, rocks, rivers and oceans. Depending on the neutron particles and the number of neutrons in the nucleus, it is further divided into U-238 and U-235, of which U-238 accounts for more than 99% in nature, while U-235 is less than 1%. It is these rare quantities of uranium-235 can be used in nuclear weapons, so that the atomic bomb and the explosion to obtain the maximum power. This yellow cylinder for the nuclear explosion powder is a smokeless propellant, also known as low explosive. It burns slowly, low explosive power. 1945, the early morning of August 6th, the pilot flew a B-29 bomber to the airspace above Hiroshima. The population of Hiroshima at that time about 300,000, with a military-industrial base and 43,000 soldiers. And most importantly, this place has not been bombed. The Little Boy bomb was dropped from 9,448 meters, and 44 seconds later an internal air pressure trigger activated the ignition mechanism, at which point the bomb was 548 meters above the ground, an altitude that maximizes power. When the sensor detects the correct altitude, the ignition device is turned off, followed by a circuit that ignites the 3 fuses and then detonates the nuclear explosive powder, which pushes the uranium ring in the projectile to hit the target uranium ring at the other end of the projectile at a speed of 300 meters per second, roughly 10 milliseconds after the start of the nuclear chain reaction. Nuclear fission is a radioactive decay process, in which a neutron hits a uranium atom, which then splits into 2, releasing 3 neutrons at the same time, and the cycle continues until the decay is complete. The process of impact will produce gamma photons and release a huge amount of energy, which is the reason why the atomic bomb is so powerful. The power of the Little Boy bomb explosion is equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT, forming a mushroom cloud of about 18,288 meters. The explosion of the nuclear bomb produced a blinding light, followed by a large, searing fireball. The red circle is the radius of the fireball produced by the explosion, and the fatality rate is close to 100% within the yellow circle's diameter of 1,609 meters, while most of the buildings in the green circle are destroyed, with a large number of casualties. And people in the blue area will be exposed to nuclear radiation. The destructive power of nuclear bombs have three main points: shock waves, burns, radiation. Nuclear explosion will produce a fireball is caused by X-rays heating the air. The fireball is not only the temperature is extremely high, brightness is also amazing. It is the speed of sound from the center of the point to spread around, can cover 3.2 kilometers. No one in the area was spared, and about 70,000 people were killed immediately. Those who survived in the periphery were also exposed to radiation, and by the end of 1945, some 140,000 people had died from burns, radiation and related illnesses, although the number of casualties from the bomb was far greater.